Hey everyone, welcome to my video. 10 things you should never do in front of a Pokemon fan. Number 1. Give constructive criticism. This part is important because... Shit. Well, here I am once again. I'm not gonna bore you with a long-ass essay on why I don't enjoy Pokemon as I used to, how the games now do the bare minimum, yada yada yada. I said before that I refuse to support Game Freak, but if there's at least something that catches my interest, I will be more than glad to give it a shot. Well, after 2 years that something finally appeared in the form of Pokemon Legends Arceus. Ever since its announcement, I've been keeping an eye out for this game for 2 reasons. When I first looked at its reveal trailer, I was attracted by the concept. A story that takes place in ancient Sinnoh. Alright, that's one of my favorite regions, where you must complete the first ever Pokédex. That's interesting. And explore an open world. Oh, alright then, I'll approach carefully in that case. But what really intrigued me the most is when they revealed that this game had been in development for some time and that Junichi Masuda was not at the helm of this project. That surprised me like you can't imagine, because in case you don't know, I'm not a fan of this man. He may have directed my favorite games in the series, but that was over 10 years ago. Nowadays I don't like his modern views on the gaming world and how that reflects on the games he's heavily involved in. Games that, well, I don't think highly of. If you love them, that's fine, and I hope you continue to do so. Don't let me stop you from having fun. I'm still going to throw shit at them though. So with those facts on the table, I was cautiously optimistic about the game. It also helped there was no negative outburst over every single thing that was revealed. Do you remember how everyone went crazy over that N64 tree in Sword and Shield? Good times. Anyway, as for me, I only watched some stuff from Nintendo Directs. There were things I liked and things I did not. But nothing about it seemed terrible from a gameplay standpoint. This was in part due to my standards being incredibly low already, but it was still enough to make me want to play it. And here's where we are today. I'm going to give you my most honest opinion about Legends Arceus. Did it suck? Did it rekindle my hopes for the series? Stick around and find out. Before we begin, I have to tell you a few things. I'll keep the story spoilers to a bare minimum, but things like areas, new Pokemon and all that stuff will be present throughout the video. If you're fine with that, then that's great! And finally, this one is very important. I used an emulator to play this game. Normally I will need to tell you that, but I think you deserve to know it. Why? The emulator I used wasn't very stable. Throughout the video you will notice some graphical issues, frame drops and glitchy textures. I want you to keep that in mind because I don't think it's fair to blame the game for something that might be a problem on my end. Now, I know the term emulator is taboo for some people. I imagine some of you are getting ready to attack me, demonize me, or post me on your shitty Facebook page using posts where I'm actually saying good things. And you know, that's fine, I won't justify myself, but I also don't want to lie to you guys. I'll only ask you one thing. Stay until the end and then be the judge of my actions. If you're also okay with that, then let me tell you what I think about Pokemon Legends Arceus. I liked it. Can you believe that? I liked it! So, ever since Gen 6, what have been my main problems with the series? Awful pacing, unbearable hand-holding, mind-numbing adventures, oversaturation of Kanto, and the fact that I always get the impression that they gave the bare minimum effort. Legends Arceus was an adventure that felt comfortable because I didn't perceive any of the issues I always have with the games. And not just that, I felt it was doing something more. This game instantly differentiated itself by letting players explore huge open areas, something that initially worried me because I can't tell you how many games I played that have pretty open worlds without a single cool thing to do in them. Now, put that on Game Freak's hands, and yeah, I think my fears were justified, but to my surprise, it wasn't really bad. I mean, it's not incredible either, but it's nowhere close to the dumpster fire I thought it would be. Instead of a huge connected open world, Legends Arceus opted to divide itself in multiple locales you can explore. I remember when this news came to light and some fans were upset, to which I thought, are you fucking serious? These are good news to me! Game Freak was barely able to handle the wild area in Sword and Shield, so the idea of multiple smaller locales was appealing to me. I like it, because while traversing through them, I felt that each one was very unique and recognizable. I believe they have just the right size to not make them overwhelming. They're pretty fun to explore, and there's usually something to do in every corner, which really complements the main foundation of Legends Arceus. Since the game takes place in ancient Sinnoh, it's up to the player to traverse the whole region with the objective of making the first ever Pokédex. This, of course, means technology isn't as advanced as in the main games, except when it is. So in order to achieve that, three main mechanics come into play: crafting, catching, and exploring. Crafting is self-explanatory and incredibly intuitive. The open areas offer a ton of opportunities to get materials for Pokeballs, potions, and many more, which are extremely useful when it comes to catching Pokemon. What I like the most is how fast this whole process is. I had so many options on how I could approach this. I could just throw the ball, sure, but to get a higher success rate, I could sneak up to a Pokemon, distract them, set some baits, or wait for them to sleep. And to make matters more interesting, different Pokemon species behave in different ways. Some are very docile and will just stare at you. Others might get frightened and run away when they feel in danger. And others will just straight up attack you. And I mean, literally attack you! That's so cool! And if things went sour, I could always rely on a good old Pokemon battle, which also received a few alterations. By that I mean it lost abilities, held items, and a good chunk of moves. But I think it's great how it also does its own thing. It's way simpler in essence, but it still marks a few differences with two mechanics: action speed and styles. In Legends Arceus, battles don't happen like, it's your turn, you act, it's your opponent's turn, they act, and so on and so on. Now you can play a role on how many actions you can take depending on your speed stat and the moves you use, which really reminds me to Final Fantasy X when I think about it. When a Pokemon levels up, they can master a move which they can then use in Agile Style and Strong Style. As you can imagine, Agile Style reduces your attack power but increases the chance of another consecutive action, while Strong Style hits really fucking hard but makes it more likely your opponent will attack you twice if you don't finish them off. But to not make you overpowered, your foe is also capable of abusing from these mechanics. So while the combat system is simpler, I don't think it's mindless. You have to consider which moves you wanna use and think of what actions your opponent will take. So I consider this to be a neat approach of the standard battles. Only thing I didn't like is that in some cases you have to fight more than one Pokemon at the same time, but you can only send one to battle. This forces you into many 2v1 or 3v1 cases where you can easily get overwhelmed. It wasn't overly hard, but I found that to be annoying, because you have to wait until everyone finishes doing their business. They continue their assault if your Pokemon faints, and if you miss your attack once it's finally your turn... yeah, I fucking hated that. Also, is it just me, or does everything hits like a truck in this game? And I'm not talking about the strong style attacks, I mean everything in general. Some battles can end in the blink of an eye because health bars just go whoop! Almost every important battle in this game left me with my team severely damaged. I mean, that's not a complaint though, that actually made the battles faster, which is a plus in my book. But I couldn't help but notice that. And finally, there's the boss battles. Outside of your standard gyms, now you have to occasionally face off against a frenzied Pokemon in a whole new style of battle that I fucking love. These sections had no right being this fun. All you have to do is throw bombs at the Pokemon until you deplete its stamina, while you dodge all sorts of attacks, and occasionally you can force them to battle your Pokemon and get an edge in combat. This was an addition that left me wanting more. These boss battles really mix well a new gameplay element and traditional battles, all while being tense and exciting. And I'm serious, some of these bosses can go... I'm exaggerating, of course, but oh, how much fun I had with them! Then there was the exploration. You already know me, I don't like when games implement open worlds that have no purpose to exist. For example, the wild area from Sword and Shield, that one was terrible. But I did not feel that way in Arceus. The open areas here acted as a complement to the other mechanics. One of the many joys I get when they're done right is when they reward my curiosity, and this game delivered that in spades! I was constantly encouraged to explore more, and I will always find something of interest, whether it be materials to craft useful items, or more Pokémon to catch. The latter received a major upgrade, because more than just needing to capture them, you need to fulfill some specific missions in order to unlock their entries. So capturing one of each species is not enough anymore, and that motivated me to get more invested in the world. It gave the mechanics a bigger purpose, and it added a lot of charm to the idea. And just when I was about to complain about something from the open world, or I felt that a few things were lacking, my issues will eventually get fixed. I remember thinking, wow, this is pretty neat, but I feel moving faster and a jump button would have benefited the game. And then I got a Wyrdeer who does exactly that. Then I thought, jumping is not enough anymore, I wish I could climb walls like in Zelda. And a few hours later, my prayers were answered. And finally I said, imagine how cool it will be if you could glide in this game. And then, God, I'm having so much fun, it's unreal. The game constantly added stuff that kept my interest and the pace going. Sure, it's a bit unorthodox having to manually call these Pokémon every time you want to use their skills, but I think it makes sense thematically, and in all honesty, you only require one button to summon them and you can swap them on the go. Just be sure to not accidentally plummet into your death. And one more credit I have to give, all these mechanics combined gave Arceus a decent degree of challenge. I mean, it's not exactly hard, and just like any game, it can be super easy to break if you know what you're doing. But I never felt I was on autopilot throughout my adventure. I always had to remember getting materials to craft items, use my money wisely, pick my battles carefully, and in some cases, just skedaddle the fuck out of there. All of this made me feel rewarded. And you know what also helped my enjoyment? For once, after so long, the pacing was finally good, and for a moment I thought I was dreaming. But no, the gameplay was fast-paced and I could go at my own rhythm. The worst case for me was the tutorial, but I get it. JRPGs are usually slow at the beginning, I'm used to that. And here, having the new mechanics explained to me made a lot of sense. And even better, they didn't over-explain everything. As soon as I started to think, can you please drop my hand so I can do whatever I want? They did! After all the basics were explained to me, I was free to do whatever I wanted. And on the rare chance I didn't get something, I could simply go to the options and reread the tutorials. This gave Arceus an extra point over Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I can't believe I just said that. The story in particular deserves an award for not pissing me off. I didn't feel I was being stopped every 5 seconds for some useless dialogue by the most annoying characters in existence. And sure, I'm saying that with my Pokémon standards on the floor, but generally speaking, the story wasn't half bad. It's a simple, light-hearted adventure with jolly dialogue, except for the times where they tell me I'm gonna die. There were some memorable events, and the characters were likable, which made me so happy. You see, ever since Gen 6, Pokémon has had this huge issue of having characters being overly nice to you, and that in turn made them fucking annoying in my eyes. The nerds from X and Y, How from Sun and Moon, How once again in Ultra Sun and Moon, and... well, Hop was pretty cool actually. But I don't think anybody in Arceus unintentionally crossed that line of being irritating. And the only times I felt that is because said characters were clearly created with the intention of being annoying. The music is also another strong point from the game. It borrows most of its tracks from Sinnoh, so it was bound to be good by default, but we still got some new arrangements. While exploring, you get this combination of Sinnoh's uniqueness with Breath of the Wild's ambient music, which works very well. I felt emotional when I heard bits of Eternal Forest in the first area. That hit hard! And the new battle remixes are really cool.
Speaking of, why did they go so hard with the novel Pokémon theme?
But enough positivity, you know what I dislike about this game? The graphics. We can start by blaming my emulator. But no, even on trailers I thought this game looked ugly. And now that I look at all the footage online, I'm sorry, this does not look good. One of the things I enjoy the most about open games is when I reach a high point so I can stop and admire the beautiful landscape. But here I will go... Ugh. I can't believe what I'm about to say, but I thought Sword and Shield looked better than Arceus. And that's funny, that game was mocked for its horrendous textures. They should have just called this one, Porque es tan feo. And the game still suffers from a lot of static animations, or in some cases, no animations at all. But hey, at least the character models are nice looking. I like their expressions, they're so goofy. Ugh.
You know what's funny? When you look back at everything I have said, most of the praises I gave are things that other games have as a standard and have done much better.
Breath of the Wild has a more fun and rewarding exploration. Shin Megami Tensei 5 has incredible graphics and a deeper combat system. And Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has those beautiful landscapes and a great story.
It may sound harsh, but to be fair, I walk into this game thinking, my expectations for the series are on the floor. What else do I have to lose at this point? A friend of mine even joked about it. Pokemon fan finally experiences bare minimum. He's ecstatic. So yeah, I don't think this game is up there with the big ones, but I still liked it. I really liked it. It's the most I genuinely enjoyed a Pokemon game since Super Mystery Dungeon and Pokemon Picross.
At first I wanted to rush through it so I could finish this video as soon as possible. But the more I played, the more I noticed how much fun I was having. I will get distracted with side quests and capturing Pokemon because I was enjoying myself. When I knew I was about to finish it, I honestly felt upset and I couldn't believe that because I forced myself to beat Ultra Sun and Moon. With Sword and Shield I thought, oh, is it over already? But here, I wanted to keep going! In some way I even felt bad, because I wish I had played this on the Switch. But if it's any consolation, that means that at some point in the future I'm going to get my own copy and replay it! Just not right now, because... yeah.
If Pokemon Arceus sets a new standard for the series, and they continue to improve with each entry, fuck! I'll be so fucking happy! I'm all in if they continue to get better! But I wonder, what happened for this game to be as fun as it was? Maybe Game Freak finally listened to some criticism? Was there a group of developers who actually gave a shit? Or maybe it was Masuda not being heavily involved with this game? It was a total absence of Charizard. Yep, no doubt about it. Pinche lagartija, ya me tenía harto!